So DJ Mustard's beats are irrelevant. DJ Mustard's not hot anymore. Mustard, who won all those Grammys, Mustard, who gave Kendrick Lamar the second most commercially successful song of his career, I believe. That Mustard, the Mustard whose name got screamed out at the Super Bowl halftime show to the point where it became a meme. That Mustard, his beats aren't hot anymore. All right, producers, this is just crazy. I'm sorry I have to bring this topic to the forefront, but Ty Dolla $ign recently had an interview during which he revealed that he actually had an entire album with Mustard that he had to scrap because the label told him DJ Mustard is not a hot producer anymore. If a producer at Mustard's level is getting effectively blackballed by a major label, where does that leave us? So let's talk about this, because I've experienced kind of something similar when I signed a deal with an artist to a major label. I wanted to talk about this with my colleagues on the MEC podcast. So as always, the link to the MEC podcast channel is below. Free music distribution is on tolost.com with the code MEC. Thank you for checking that out too. And let me know in the comments if you've experienced this either at a major label level or any other level, even with artists that you worked with. So I'm not gonna lie, we need a support group after watching content like this, like a producer emotional support group.
Reincarnated. And that Squabble up?
This one, Hey Now, Say Now, right? This beat was my beat.
Oh, word?
Me and Mustard were working on an album together. We did a whole album together, right? I really wanted me, Mustard, and YG to do an album. But YG was busy doing whatever he did at the time, and me and Mustard finally locked in. We did a whole album. This shit was hard. There was a song on the album with that same beat that I did called 5 in the Morning. And I didn't drop it. And
Why?
now I didn't drop the album because at the time the label gonna tell me, you know what? Mustard's not hot right now. Maybe you need to do something. I swear to God.
That's crazy. They are thinking about their money first and foremost. They're
Yeah, I
not
get
thinking
how it
about
works.
the creativity.
I get how it works.
And
They're
he
here to
did,
win.
he did.
Now I'm
he
a
backed
CEO.
up.
I get
he
how it
did.
works.
He backed
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
though. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they were wrong, but I
It's
feel
like
where they
Kendrick
were
say,
coming from.
sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas when they forget.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, he had that beat before the label told him that Mustard's not hot right now, so he didn't end up using the beat.
No, it was a whole album.
Labels
It
don't
was a whole album.
a whole album, but it had that beat. Okay. Yeah, I mean, labels don't always know what like. Some people just be talking, and that's why it's dope that like the internet has proved a lot of people wrong over the years, right? Because there was no way to prove that anybody else was right. You just kind of took the label's word as gospel, and before the internet, you either subscribed to what they were what they were suggesting, or you probably got booted off the label. Like even when you're talking about names, like they probably would have told you your name had to be a certain way, or you had to look a certain way. And now, a lot of those theories have been disproven because artists can now go direct to their fans and they can have a wild name. Lil Nas X can get his name from a name generator. You can have all kind of names and you can look all kind of ways and things work. But a label would have told you, you would never gotten away with doing that back in the day. They even told Queen Herbie and her fiance or husband like not to present as a couple or don't get married. And it's like now people are leaning into marriage and showing marriage goals, and it's a whole different community. And so just because they're a label doesn't mean they know what they're talking about.
But they won't let you drop a project if they don't approve it.
If you're signed, if you're signed, that's
this surprises me. I'm going to be honest, because I think that everybody's thought process is when someone is as big as Ty, that you have a lot more opportunity and autonomy at a label. And this isn't like when Ty Dolla $ign first got to the label. This is after he dropped Featuring, which was like a historic album for him. So I think that that's I don't know, that actually surprises me a bit. And I also feel like it's interesting that they thought in that time Mustard wasn't hot anymore. He definitely wasn't doing as many pop hits, but I feel like on the hip hop world, he was killing it. So like R&B hip hop, all the stuff that Ty does, I thought that would be, I feel like it would be a perfect merging. And then this is another thing. producers, especially or smaller artists, are like, oh, if I just get a big feature from this person, it's going to take me up. This is a person who's chart topping at the moment, and the label is like, no, don't collab with this person because it may take you down. Which you would think at his level, they would be like, oh, we can make anything go, whether it's just a random producer or whatever. But I think having a collab tape with his name tied to it, they're like, he's not a big enough name for you, which is, I don't know. This is actually interesting to me because I've seen it happen before, but with somebody as big as Ty, I'm like, oh wow. Or sorry, 2 Chains. Wait, was it Ty? It was Chains, right? Or is it Ty Dolla
No,
Sign?
it's
Now
Ty
I'm
Dolla Sign.
confusing
Yeah,
it.
it was Ty.
Yeah, okay. Ty Dolla Sign. Yeah, somebody as big, because he talked about featuring. Somebody as big as Ty, especially considering his West Coast connection, even if he just wanted to do like a regional thing, I would think that the label would get behind it. I'm just like, it's surprising to me. And like the whole thing, him saying that is very surprising to me.
Well, Payne, get your opinion on this because, like, maybe the price tag associated with a mustard beat is what they were pushing back against. Because what does it matter, like, with like if the producer's hot? I mean, I know the answer to this. I'm kind of just throwing it out there, but like, what does it matter if like the producer's name is hot? Like, can't you just submit a beat nameless? Like, if the beat is dope, or maybe that's what they were saying, like that people could tell that it's a mustard beat and
Yeah,
that
you
they
can
and that
tell that
sound
something's a
fits.
mustard beat.
Or is the person, like the brand they built, dated? Like, to me, that's like 2 separate things.
Yeah, and I wish we had asked that question directly and gotten more information. But in my own experience, I'm nowhere near the mustard level. But it's the labels always ask producers. If you're working with an A&R or someone who's working within the label system, like the manager of a signed artist, whatever, they ask for a hot beat, something new. But they don't actually want that, and so that's endlessly frustrating. So because, and what I mean is, the labels know what's currently successful. They don't know what's coming next. They're looking for what's coming next, but they can't identify what the next big thing is until it becomes the next big thing, and they have to poach it. That's the model that the music, the recording industry is using right now. It's not artist development, as we've talked about a lot. It's not finding someone that's different or left field and presenting them to the world. It's always, I mean, even Lady Gaga, they had to hide her for the longest time because she was too weird. She was too weird, and now they're acting like, oh, she's setting trends, and everyone wants to be weird like her, or at least they did back when she blew up. For example, with beats especially, like, who could have predicted the success of Tweaker? Because that beat, if the producers, and I don't think I'm saying their names right, Kunika and Glocky Cheese, which is a wild name, had sent that beat to a label, A&R, they would have rejected it. I think they probably would have rejected it immediately and said it sounds dated. And then it goes viral, and labels are tripping over themselves to sign that song because it worked, but the label didn't have to risk anything. So they claim they want the newest thing. They want the newest successful thing. And in order for the newest successful thing to be the newest successful thing, it has to be out, and it has to succeed without the label. And then the label swoops in and gets it, which puts us producers and recording artists in really weird positions, because even a DJ Mustard apparently hasn't built up enough credibility to be trusted by the labels, which is nuts, because at that point, this is in between Mustard's last album and GNX, right? Which is him coming off of a successful release. He wins a Grammy for all the Roddy Ricch stuff. He's already signed and developed LMA. How does he not have credibility? How do the labels look at that track record and say, Mustard hasn't had a hit beat in a while, we think he's played out? And then within a year, he produces Kendrick Lamar's second highest selling song.
Well, the other thing Again, Payne, I hope this is recording cleanly because at least how I'm receiving your sound, it's a little choppy. Um, but the other thing that could be going on is like that's the reason or the excuse they could have given. But people have like their own agendas in these bigger companies, right? That A&R, that person could have promised another producer that they were going to get them on a Ty Dolla Sign project, and if they do that, maybe that was like what needed to happen for them to sign another artist. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff that just happens internally, and like the reason given isn't what they really say it is, but that's the excuse given so that they're trying to put other plays in motion, right? I feel like we're experiencing that now with Big Jaws. We're talking to some of these bigger production companies and why Jaws getting passed up on. They give us a reason, but then like a few months down the road, we see that person that we were talking to is like ushering their own project through the production company. It's like, oh, you didn't really think that. You were just trying to get your own project off the ground. So you just never know like what the truth is. So because I was
Or they
thinking,
could just have like a bone to pick with Mustard and they're like jabbing him backwards, kind of like, oh, well, he wouldn't give us a beat for this artist. So now Mustard is played out. Cause it's like statistically, it doesn't even super matter. And, like, people think artists have, egos. A lot of execs have even more massive egos, especially if they've made several artists or helped nurture and bring up several artists. So sometimes they're just like, oh, I'm a kingmaker. So I can make or break people. I'm going to set the tone for this. This is going to be the next big wave. So I agree. I think that there could be some foul play here. If we're just looking at them getting on the wave of what works, it almost doesn't make sense that they wouldn't at least attempt something. Because at very least, you could be like, oh, it flopped, but the West Coast likes it. You know what I'm saying? But it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
yeah,
I think a lot of the times it's just what Dame initially said, which is the labels oftentimes don't know shit. I mean, seriously, and how could they? But they position themselves to know everything, and they make those decisions, those life or death decisions for artists. And if the artist feels like their soul is being stomped on, the label's like, oh well, we'll just replace them with another product. The next one will be more successful. So the implications for artists are way worse. But in my experience, and it's crazy for me because it's like, how do you as a producer who's not at Mustard's level work within an industry that would say Mustard's not hot at the height of his career? Crazy. But my problem is, once a label has you, they start imposing their sometimes terrible ideas onto you, and they stop trusting you. And it doesn't, the way a lot of labels operate, it just doesn't make sense. So I made a song, I produced a song for a local artist named Ted Park. It went viral pretty much for no reason. And then we signed to Capitol, and it was a fair deal. It was an absolutely fair deal. But I'm telling you, so Ted Park, Zeus, that's what it sounds like when I'm sitting there racking my brain trying to come up with something that sounds French. I don't know. I actually like how the beat turned out and how the song turned out. So maybe it's a good thing. So I think sometimes someone telling you to challenge yourself to try something else is a good thing. It's not always a bad thing. But ultimately the outcome was, or the promise was, make a song like this and then you'll satisfy the label. And man, the label's never satisfied. They just want the money. And how do you make them the money if they won't allow you to release the music that could potentially make the money?